Hey you guys, I've been so excited about making this video because today I'm going to give you guys another orchard tour, but today we actually have some harvesting to do. So our mid-pride peach tree has some fruit that's ready on it, as well as our Japanese plum tree. And so I have been saving our first harvest to do together, and I'm going to try and fill my little basket here. I think we only have about 50 peaches in total and maybe a handful of plums. And I need those to last at least 2 weeks until our Alberta peach tree starts ripening. But I'm so excited to finally have something ready to harvest. For those of you that are new to our channel, my name is Christina, and me and my family homestead in California, Zone 9B, on a little over an acre. And we took pretty much a property with nothing on it and have been slowly building it up and planting on it for the last year and a half. So this orchard is relatively young. I don't actually have any garden beds planted, so the tour that I'm giving today is of a young orchard, and I'm just showing what you can possibly harvest in the second year or the second season of planting fruit trees. So let's get into what this orchard looks like at the very tail end of June. Okay, so here is the orchard in its full glory. And I must say, from my perspective, the trees look like they've grown tremendously. Like if I look at that apple tree over there, that was not leafing out as much about a month ago as it is now. So everything to me looks like it's creeping. You hear people talk about when you plant perennials or things that grow every single year without having to replant them, that the first year they sleep, the second year they creep, and the third year they leap. We are in our creeping year for the majority of the trees that we planted, and I can definitely feel that these plants are starting to creep, and it's really cool. Okay, so really I want to show you the highlights of the orchard, and that is my pumpkin patch and my peach trees. Okay, so here's my pumpkin patch, and if you haven't been around, these were all volunteer pumpkins that came up, and I just watered them, and that's pretty much it. I haven't fertilized them. I haven't done anything. I think I have something like 15 pumpkins now growing in here. They look to me like they're all different varieties. I think I have a couple like Big Macs in there. I think I have some sugar pie pumpkins. Other than that, I'm not exactly sure what the varieties are. I am so excited about all these pumpkins that are growing here because in my mind I'm starting to think of a preservation plan for them. By no means did I think I was going to have over 10 pumpkins pop up here in the orchard, but they love it here. And also they're really a good weed barrier for the orchard. So I mentioned in my last orchard video that I am for sure going to be going around in early March and April and just planting seeds and seeing these volunteers grow because they do super well if they're able to sprout and not get transplanted when they want to. And our California weather allows them to go early. So even though I'm probably going to be picking them in July or early August, it's still worth it even though we're not picking them in October because these will store for so long. I think how I plan on preserving them is to probably roast them and then scoop out the flesh in like 2 or 4 cup batches and then freeze that for muffins. I love making pumpkin chocolate chip muffins, and it's just something easy I can whip up and then have for the kids for breakfast in the morning. Other things I can probably use them for are like traditional pumpkin pie. For the ones I don't preserve, I'll actually just keep them inside the house because they'll store great for a really long time. And while the pumpkins are truly the stars of the show of this orchard on the ground, the most epic part of this orchard right now are my peach trees. So I have 4 peach trees planted that are fruiting this year. I have 2 mid-pride peaches, which are ready to harvest the end of June to mid-July, and then also 2 Alberta peach trees that are ready to harvest more in the end of July to early August timeframe. So I tried to plant in such a way that once I'm done eating through the mid-pride peach, I can move over to the Alberta peach and they'll be ripe and in season. Okay, so behind me I have my 2 mid-pride peach trees. They're both the ones in the nets. A couple videos ago I had talked about taking the nets off and then putting on the organza bags instead because I felt like the nets were inhibiting the trees from growing, and I still think that's true, but a lot of you guys either in the comments or through messages said that squirrels and birds tend to eat through the organza bags anyway. So about 2 weeks prior to needing to harvest the fruit, I decided to go ahead and net them as well. So trees have organza bags and nets over them, whereas my Alberta peach trees that are right here only have the organza bags. And I will say I've had 0 problems with squirrels, and I've had 0 problems with birds on these trees. Back there, I have a Santa Rosa plum tree, and it had about 20 pieces of fruit on it, and I did go ahead and organza bag those, and I had major problems with squirrels and with birds, even though I had organza bagged them, but I did not net the tree. It's a pretty mature tree, so I didn't want to net it, and I thought it wasn't worth it for 20 pieces of fruit. I also have my neighbor's nectarine tree over here that hangs over the fence, and despite being organza bagged on the fruit over there, I've had squirrels completely attack that tree. I still have a lot of fruit on that tree, but maybe like, I don't know, 3 to 5% of the bags have been pulled off and squirrels have tried to eat them. So I don't know why the squirrels haven't really found these trees. Maybe it's because they're double protected, but when I go close to them, they do smell like peaches, which leads me to believe that they're ripe. And I just know that this is about the right time that we would pick them. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the nuts off of these, and then I'm gonna get to harvesting our first peaches of the season. All right, here it is. This is the first peach of the season. Actually, at the beginning of the season, I had some squirrel problems before I did the organza bags, and I ended up saving this piece of fruit, and it grew just fine. And then you can also see little bruises kind of around the peach. They say that in order to check if fruit is ripe, to kind of give it a little squeeze, and if it's soft, it's ready to come off the tree. I find that that kind of damages the fruit. What I'm looking for is that the majority of the backside that's not seeing the sun, if that is yellow and not green, I'm totally fine to pick the peach off the tree. You can also smell it. If it smells like a peach, that aroma, it's similar to like if you're baking something in the oven. If it smells like what it is that you're baking, it's probably close to being done. I think that's the same thing with like your peaches and plums. Look how beautiful this one is. So pretty. Okay, so I have about 7 peaches that I picked from that tree, and now I'm gonna go through this tree. This one probably has less. It probably only has like 12 peaches on it. I'm just gonna pick what looks really ripe to me, and then I'm gonna move on to plums. an absolutely beautiful peach. Wow. Okay, so that pretty much does it for harvesting my peaches. I think I picked about 10, and I'm now gonna net those trees back up because I don't want the squirrels to get them, because they are absolutely perfect. There's not like any blemish on most of them. I think there was that one that had a blemish, and they just look so beautiful. I probably have 2 more harvests this size on those peach trees, and then I have a ton on these Alberta peach trees. This is my Alberta peach tree. It's probably going to be ready by mid to late July, and I can harvest into August. I probably didn't do the best thing with this tree. I left too much fruit on it, and now the tree is starting to kind of fall over. I can just tell that the fruit is way too much for this small tree. I did thin, I just didn't thin enough. And so I have to be careful. I'm gonna have to support the branches somehow so that we can keep the fruit, but also not hurt the tree. Okay, I have so much more that I wanna show you of the orchard, but it's like 100 degrees today. We're in the middle of a really hot heat wave, although we get really hot temperatures here in California, especially where we're at. I'm just not used to it yet. I'm not acclimated to the heat. So I am harvesting. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I figure that's probably the best time to harvest peaches and plums. I'm assuming it's kind of like tomatoes in the hottest part of the day. All those sugars are kind of being condensed, and maybe you'll get the sweetest fruit. So that's why I decided to do it during the day. Over here is my neighbor's nectarine, and everything is looking really good. But as you can tell, because it's on a fence line, I think that's why we're having problems with squirrels, because they can balance on the fence line and then try to reach this fruit. So you can see like this one right here got eaten into, and then it's just completely off the tree. The tree is holding it together because it's tied onto the tree, but this fruit is done ripening. So I'm just gonna leave it on the tree. Maybe the squirrel will come back to it. I highly doubt that. I don't know if we'll have any fruit left. I think that my neighbor gave up on this tree a while ago just because all the squirrels were getting to all the fruit. Okay, a couple more things I want to show you. I'm going to show you my line of apples. My Empire apple still has 5 pieces of fruit on it. I think I told my daughter that's enough for a apple pie or some kind of apple galette. So Lord willing, we keep those 5 apples, and we have enjoyed watching those grow, knowing that maybe we'll get some homegrown apple pie from that tree soon. Okay, but right here, this is my Japanese plum, and I went ahead and netted it as well. I did not organza bag these plums, mainly because the plums are really close together in tight clusters, and so it's hard to get the organza bags, and I didn't want to risk losing the fruit. But the tree net seems to have worked. I have not had squirrels or birds attack the fruit on this tree, and I would say for the most part it's pretty ripe. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick some of the fruit from this tree as well. Okay, so this is my haul right here. I only picked about 4 plums, and that's just because the rest look like they need a little bit more time. I think this tree is more ready to ripen in the July time frame, but that's okay. The nice thing about plums is that they ripen off the tree, so they're producing some gas that if I put them into a brown paper bag overnight, they'll soften up and they'll sweeten up. So if worst case scenario, it might take 2 days, but it's just nice to start ripening them faster so that we have something to snack on when we get inside the house. Okay, and a couple other trees that I wanted to show you just as honorable mentions is my pomegranate tree. My pomegranate tree this year has been loaded with flowers. I don't know much about this variety. I think it's a Chinese pomegranate. But compared to last year with the Back to Eden method, this tree has just taken off. I don't know how old it is. I think it's relatively young, but I'm assuming we're gonna have some decent fruit set on this tree. And then maybe around the November, early December timeframe, we'll have a bunch of pomegranates here on the homestead. Also behind me, this is the Santa Rosa plum tree I was talking about. It's a funny story because last year, this tree was absolutely loaded with plums, and they were small, and I didn't know what type it was, and I asked people on YouTube what they thought this tree could be because the fruit was just not ripening. It was never getting soft, and then I eventually pulled them off like really late in the season. I tried to dehydrate them. They were gross. Anyway, the majority thought that this tree was an Italian prune plum, and that's why I put prune plum here on its little tag. But to my surprise, this year it only set about 20 pieces of fruit. I think there's only a couple left on the tree, and they are for sure Santa Rosa plums. If you've been following my channel long enough, you know that one of my favorite trees is the Santa Rosa plum tree. The house I came from had a Santa Rosa plum tree. So to have a mature Santa Rosa plum tree already, we have 2 planted here, but they're pretty young, but to have a mature one, even though it only set about 20 fruits this year, is like the biggest gift ever. And the funny thing is that it's not just my favorite fruit, it's also my kids' favorite fruit. So even though I have been harvesting from this tree because it has had a lot of squirrels and birds come after the fruit, I haven't really had one Santa Rosa plum. A mother's love is giving your kids the Santa Rosa plums instead of having them yourself. And so one day I dream of having an overabundance of Santa Rosa plums so that Mom can have some too. But in the meantime, I will forego all my Santa Rosa plums so that my kids can experience what I got to experience as a kid, munching on as many Santa Rosa plums as I possibly could. Last but not least, I want to show you our avocados. They're doing really, really well, I think, with this heat. We also got the automatic watering on them, and I think that's helped a bunch. But something that's really sad, I mentioned a long time ago in a past orchard tour that this tree had about 50 pieces of fruit on them. And as you can tell, every single one has fallen off. I think that's pretty typical for an avocado tree. I didn't know that avocado trees self-aborted their fruit, but because we transplanted it this year, it's still a relatively young tree. Oh, sorry, I had to get out of the heat. My phone overheated and then it wasn't letting me film. Basically, I was just saying that the avocados also didn't get consistent watering, so they dropped all their fruit. So anyway, I know that those trees down the line will produce fruit, and we have a plan for them to overwinter them. Anyway, I am going to sign off here. It was so fun harvesting our first peach harvest and plum harvest with you guys. I have a really exciting delivery of trees coming this Monday or Tuesday, so I will definitely be posting a video about it. If you want to take a guess at what we're getting delivered to the homestead, drop a comment down below. If you enjoy this sort of content, I hope in the future, as things start to mature more, to do a lot more harvesting videos. That is like where my heart is at. I love farm to table and cooking and eating with what you get from your homestead. So anyway, I'm gonna sign off. Thanks for hanging out, and I will catch you guys next week.
Ready?
Yeah. Oh, whoa. Interesting. It's supposed to be a freestone. Wanna try it?
It's delicious. I think it needs about another day to fully ripen, but that's really good.
That's a great idea. Is it good? Is it good? So that we don't